The clock is ticking down to the start of the men's triple mix. Something we've been looking forward to for 12 months here in Jersey. And Mario Mola always looks so calm and happy and smiley, doesn't he? He's just a fantastic character, so polite and so ready to talk to anyone, even when it's this close to a big race. But there's so much talent across the course of that pontoon. Great access for Annie Emerson. And if it's anything like the women's race, it's going to be gripping tactically, very aggressive, and Ali, as you said before, probably a little more aggressive than the women's racing.
Yeah, I think we can expect it to be more aggressive. I think especially, you know, a couple of the guys, obviously Johnny, I know what he's going to do pretty well, and Vince Louis, I think they're going to benefit from taking out hard early. They both swim well, they both ride well. They know they can make it hard and kind of get people out of the race by taking the very first one out aggressively. This is the course map. If you're just joining us, 150 out and then back on the swim. The bike and the run are on the same course, and it is lined right now by the entire population of the island of Jersey. Look for people to attack along Thunder Alley, the cobblestones at the back of the course. The wind has picked up though, without a doubt, and could buffet the lone riders out there. Bit of an explainer, triple mix is your classic swim, bike and run, and then a 10-minute break into a run, bike, swim, and then a pursuit style start where the athletes will pay for how far back they are from the leader with a bike, swim, run. Anyone that falls more than 90 seconds behind at any point at the end of each of the stages will not move on to the following stage. And I think Jonathan Brownlee has a point when he says that the lime green isn't the most fetching colour, but it won't matter once they get into the water. Not too long to go now. The start of the men's triple mix. 12 long months we've waited, and the people of Jersey have waited as well. They know exactly how brutal this is. We were here last year. Plenty of fast swimmers out there. Tyler Mislachuk was sick last year. He missed out, ended up losing 7 kilograms thanks to an infection he picked up in the previous weeks. So he watched from his hotel room. He'll be happy to be out there on the pontoon. Christian Blumenfeld ran back into transition to pick up a jar of Vaseline that he'd forgotten, and he's back down there in time. A moment of quiet before the action begins.
How good does this place look? It's a look of sexy, isn't it? Jersey's looking very sexy today. Here we go. Starters' hands.
We're in the starters' hands.
Starters' hands! Music goes on.
We're off in the men's triple mix. A fast start from someone in the middle of the pack off the pontoon, but a clean one as well. And a washing machine down there in the still waters of the harbour here in St Helier. A little bit of consternation in the slot draw. Each athlete had to pick every other athlete's position on the pontoon, but there was some discussion, I suppose, on what is the most, I guess, the quickest way to reach the far buoy there, and we're splitting into two little groups, and someone's getting away. What would you pick if you could pick a position on the pontoon?
I probably would have picked the inside line. It's the shortest line, and you know you're going to get to that first buoy and get around it. That said, you know if you're on the outside, you've probably got more clear water. But just looking, Johnny was actually third from the furthest point there, and he was surrounded by other swimmers who aren't necessarily that good swimmers, and you don't really want that either because they tend to drag you back. Someone's got a flying start there. I don't know who that is at the front of the race, but I mean they've almost got clear water behind them straight away with everyone else penned together. We'll see once we go around the buoy probably who these people are in the first few. We'll be able to recognise them. I've got a good shot of Johnny there actually, and I think that's Tyler Mislachuk there, who is swimming really tactically bad. You know, he's slowing both of them down there actually. If he pulled wide and actually swam behind Johnny, they'd probably just get straight to the front. One of the things that is really frustrating when you're racing. So around that first buoy is the blue jersey. It's Henry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Henry Schumann.
Yeah, so he's already got clear water behind him, and pretty much everyone else back in that pack are kind of fighting a bit, and they're not making great headroom. And Henry's away right from the gun there. You can see as we go back, you can definitely.
The red jersey right at the back of the field.
Yeah, red jersey right, but Richard Murray isn't renowned for his swimming. From a start like that, it'd be pretty hard for him as we move up the group here. And this is fantastic swimming shots, really, really close to the athletes, just what you want to see. That's Ben Canute there, and he's in fourth place. That's Vincent Louis. You'd expect him to be in closer water to the front, and he's there in second. in a great position. I'm not sure who he's fighting with around the buoy. So the kind of people who would expect to be in the first few here.
Henry Schuman's been swimming magnificent all season. He's going to be the first athlete, it looks like, here to capitalise on the short shoot. We saw that in the women's race. He's a magnificent bike rider, technically very good. He runs very well.
Yeah, one of the first to lead wire to wire, and he did that in Abu Dhabi. I think the second man ever in WTS racing to do that. So he's seen himself be biked down and potentially run down in many races over the years, and he's worked very, very hard on that. Took out the Commonwealth Games gold medal. And in the absence of Richard Varga, who is injured at the moment, he is the superfish, the Slovakian. Henry Schumann will lead us out of the water, and he will likely take, barring a mishap up the very steep ramp, the first of the short shoots. Matt can just explain quickly to us, we haven't had a chance to do so, what the short shoot means.
The short shoot rewards the leading athlete in each one of the disciplines. So first person out of the water who runs past the line at the top of this ramp will get a shortcut going into the next discipline. First person off the bike will also enjoy that shortcut. So Henry is going to capitalise on that and get a free run through transition.
Henry wearing the blue jersey, as we mentioned. That means he had the fastest swim split last time out in Jersey. The red is Christian Blumenfeld, the fastest runner, and Johnny was the quickest on the bike, as he said. But Henry Schumann is living up to his name for sure in the blue, leading in the swim. He'll get the short shoot. Vince Louis, who finished second in the WTS overall, ahead of Igor Polyansky, and then Ben Canute, who...
It's going to be interesting to see what Henry decides to do tactically here. He's going to get the short shoot. He's going to get that advantage. Does he push on and go on? You know, it's only a 4-lap bike now. You can push on and maybe cruise the run a bit more, or does he decide to wait and just take a 20-second kind of breather as he waits for the rest of the pack to catch him up?
Well, he was very unlucky last year, if you remember. He started very well in stage 1 last year. It was wet conditions. He had a crash early in the bike ride, and it's put him out of the race. So
it's messed that up a bit. I think that's quite tight, that corner. It didn't. You know, Vincent Louis, very clinical transition as you'd expect, to be honest, and that's Polyansky. I think he might struggle on this.
He's gone up the wrong side there. One rider's gone up the wrong side of the barrier. I think that was Vince Louis, so he's made a big mistake, and he's going to find himself at a dead end there. So we could see Vince Louis be in some trouble.
Oh, he's back on the
taking
course.
the wrong. He's back on the course, but he's gone down the wrong chute. He's done a little Jake Burt whistle there from last year's racing. But Henry Schumann at the front. We saw the blue jersey of Sophie Caldwell find herself in the same position, and she decided to go it alone, and I think later on in the triple mix it hurt her a little bit. She got caught up, and you've really got to think about how long this racing is and how short those breaks are.
But it is an interesting one, actually. You know, drafting doesn't give you as much of an advantage as it definitely would in a traditional triathlon. It's tight, it's technical, there's lots of crosswinds, there's not very much straight road where you can really get on the wheel, so you know, it's not as clear cut as you might expect, and you don't get the advantage from sitting in a pack at all. You know, it's never going to be more than one abreast. The course is just too narrow, and so you don't get that big draft advantage. So I think he knows it. He's technically good. He's going to ride this, and you know, even if he's not riding max, he's riding at a good tempo, and he knows he's safe, he's out of trouble, and he's going to get through this race without mishap.
He's a bit of a front runner, Henry. He likes to be out on his own. He seems to find his own lines through the corners. I think he can take some consolidation in the fact that he's got some space, and he's a magnificent runner. So he can set himself up for the next 3 stages, cruise through this event if possible, and be very, very good for the stage that matters, stage 3.
Yeah, we'll see now as they come through transition if the guys behind them are getting organised, or how much they're pushing, who's on the front. If Vincent's back on the front and back in the race, he's just round that dead turn at the bottom of transition here, and I think he's pretty much cruising. He's safe, he knows he's in a really good, strong position, and there's nothing risky. That's Vincent Louis in second place, safely back on the course and moving. Ben Canute.
He's done it again.
He's done it again, the same thing, and he's put his hand up again.
He overcooks that corner, and he comes too wide, and he stays on that inside line, goes through the finish line. And
he's finished twice already, Vince Louis, but then he finds himself somehow back on the front. He put his hand up to say sorry for leading everyone down there again for a second time. So let's see if he works it out by 3. Our man, Oliver Turner, the local hope, the 20-year-old, is back in 17th position. Jake Birtwistle is in 21st position at the moment, so he hasn't had a great swim. He's got plenty of work to do.
Richard Murray actually had a great swim there. He sat in the top 4 or 5, and so he had a really good swim. I think that must have been, he must have had a good position there on the inside, and some good swimmers to pull him up, so that worked well for him. You can see, so there's that second pack with those guys, and the third guy's pack with Johnny in the front, and he's not getting any help from the other guys in that pack who aren't as good cyclists. So this race is splitting up already with pretty much a 40-second split across the field. So this shows that it is being raced pretty aggressively.
Ben Canute, what a season he's had. He's the only 70.3 athlete in the series, and you raced him a couple of weeks ago in South Africa. He finished 4th over there, and now he's racing this super sprint racing and right there amongst the best in the world.
Yeah, he's proved himself to be a really good, versatile athlete. Great over the 70.3 distance, you know, good over the shorter World Series stuff, and good over this. He's a good all-round athlete. You know, his run isn't his strength, but he's a really good, solid swimmer. He's a great bike rider, you know, both in terms of the long distance stuff and this shorter stuff, and technically good. And I think he's just a real racer. I think he enjoys the race. Henry here he's in the perfect position. You know, he's in cruise mode here, and they've blocked that entrance up to the finish. So hopefully the same mistake can't be made again.
Let's see if he can bunny hop that one and make it up the finishing line again. We have had confirmation from the head marshal that, in fact, that is allowed, and he won't incur any penalty, Vince Louis, for the mistake he made by going down the finishing
Christian
line.
Blumenfeld coming through the field there. That's important. You know, he came out the swim, I think, outside the top 20, so he's moving through the field well, and that's what he needs to do. But Mario Mola there, was that Mario at the back of that?
I think it was,
yeah. So, or maybe Piera. So, you know, this is splitting up straight away, and it's making interesting racing, and that's because Henry's been aggressive. Well, I don't think he's probably actually riding that hard here. I think he's allowing himself to pick his own lines around the corners. He's riding very, very safely but fast at the same time, and he's not being affected by anyone else around.
And it's a lack of accumulative fatigue that could be the big thing for Henry. He's been able to take his time, control his effort, and he looks just so much more comfortable out in front. It can be a little bit hairy going through those corners in big groups. It's very, very tight, especially on this next corner coming up, the 2 right-handers.
Yeah, and of course, when he comes into transition at the end of the 4th lap, he's going to have the short shoot again, so he's got another advantage. So once you're out in front, it really rewards the aggressive racing, and he's really making the most of it.
He's a magnificent runner.
He is a magnificent runner. He's worked very hard on his run over the course of the last couple of years, and he's run his way to victory a couple of times as well. He held a 11-second advantage last time over Vincent Louis through transition, and we'll see whether he's managed to put any more time into the Frenchman. Richard Murray moved up into 3rd position behind, in front of, Ben Canute, and then Jonathan Brownlee in the lime green. You can't miss him, but Henry Schoeman just, as you say, staying comfortable and knowing he's got one more lap to go. He'll have another short shoot advantage onto the run, and I think the run probably gives you the greatest advantage in terms of the short shoot, and you can see Christian Blumenfeld there. He doesn't like being too
He's
far
actually
back in the
quite
pack.
a long way back here, you know. I can't see the splits really come through, but the other thing to note there was that this is the young British guy, Alex E, there, who's kind of coming back through the field.
With Mario Mola.
Yeah, Mario Mola. There. Like I said, Igor Polyansky, he knows his biking isn't his strong point, especially on technical courses, so he's moving back through the field here as well.
Of course, every second that they finish behind here at the end of the 1st stage of the triple mix will be paid in the 3rd stage. Your accumulated gaps across stage 1 and 2 will be paid in a pursuit start in stage 3, and anyone who falls more than 90 seconds behind. We saw it in the women's race, even at the 1st stage of the triple mix. There were women who didn't come through into the 2nd stage because they finished more than 90 seconds back, so we'll keep an eye on that. But right now, Henry Schoeman at the front will be arriving in Thunder Alley soon enough, and he'll know that it's time to hop off and get the short shoot onto the run. And we know how strong he has become on the run, as Jonathan Brownlee is at the back of a pack of about maybe 6 or 7 in a chasing group, and Christian Blumenfeld now up into 8th and working very, very hard.
That's a desperate chase, really, from Christian. We saw last year he was able to close the gap late. We've got one less bike loop this year, which makes it a little bit more difficult. There's one loop getting the shoes in, one loop taking them out, so he can be put in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think he is, and we're really seeing the kind of top guys rise straight to the top here as well, with that group of 5 guys who are working together behind Henry, and obviously Christian's doing what he's doing best and trying to get back to the front, but it's actually quite a big act for him here. Yeah, great clinical transition. Of course, he does have the short shoot to use now, which is, I think, probably even a bigger advantage for him now. You know, he's got 3 50 metres on the run, which is just worth so much, and transitions themselves are worth a lot in this situation.
The mental gains from knowing that you've got the short shoot coming out of transition must be fantastic as well, just to know that you're getting a little bit of a bonus and you've worked for and it's paid off, and he knows he's going to have 50, 60, 70 metres over the course of the rest of the field. And Richard Murray, Vincent Louis, so much talent at the top end of this field. Jonathan Brownlee and Blumenfeld now up into 5th, ahead of Ben Canute and Hayden Wild, and who's having a a fantastic run.
I think the top guys, the guys in that group with Johnny, Richard Murray, and I think they sat up on that last lap, and that's why Christian Blumenfeld's got that time back. You know, he's suddenly got 10 seconds back, and that only happens if people slow up. You see Leo Berger and Mario Mola back there now. He's got a lot of work to do. Alex Yee moving up on the outside. He's absolutely incredible runner, and he'll be wanting to make the most of that strength here.
Yeah, Alex Yee faster than Mo Farah, if you know Mo Farah from, well, Olympic fame for Team GB. He was faster than Mo Farah at the same age as when Mo was the same age as Alex Yee. Alex has got him, and he's the British national 10,000 metre title holder as well.
Yeah, well, Henry's got a big lead here. This could be 20 seconds, which is a long way, but of course it all comes down to that last race, and he's got to be able to hold on to it. Christian Blumenfeld's moving through the field, and I think we're seeing it separate up even more in this stage of the race, which just shows how quickly it's been raced. You know, these gaps are appearing even between the top guys and outside the top 10. You know, we're seeing these guys already that must be more than a minute down now.
Looks very comfortable, Henry Schoeman, as he has a little look behind him, and you can't see anyone at this point. He's put more time into him through each transition and through each leg as it stands, having led out on the swim, and now he has a significant advantage over Vincent Louis, who's made a couple of tactical errors ahead of Richard Murray, Jonathan Brownlee and Christian Blumenfeld, who doesn't look like the smoothest runner, but having a 50% VO2 max advantage over the rest of the field in terms of his air intake. Just genetically wonderful, Christian Blumenfeld, in terms of his engine. He knows how to get painful and stay there.
And his ability to accelerate out of the corners. We saw that last year. He had the advantage over Johnny, especially in those corners. He came out, he put a body length or two into Johnny, and that really won him the race last year. He's moving up now.
I think that is the thing to say about Christian. It's all about his engine. You know, incredible physical engine like that. It doesn't look pretty. It's technically not great necessarily, but obviously incredible engine and just incredible guts. He absolutely gives it all, like you can see. And this is an interesting run course. All the corners, the stopping and starting, the slightly different surfaces that you're running on, the bumps and the slight up and down means that it's not just a pure how fast can I run on a flat kind of track race. It's quite varied, which is a slightly different type of running, to be fair. You can see it's really, Henry's in a great position, and it's splitting these guys behind. Christian Blumenfeld's moving through the field on his way to try and catch Vincent Louis there, and Richard Murray has been dropped off the back on the run. I don't think many people would have expected to see that. Hayden Wild's having a great race there.
Hayden Wild is having a great race. In terms of experience and resume, he lacks a little in terms of the men in front of him, but I have to say Hayden Wild, two-time Xterra under-19 world champion. His bike handling skills has helped him stay in touch with the rest of the field. You can see him there, number 53, ahead of behind Richard Murray, Brownlee, Blumenfeld and Vincent Louis in a little group there. With 1 lap left on the run in the first stage of this triple mix. They'll have a 10-minute period to recover.
You've got a choice at this point in this race. You know, do you absolutely destroy yourself a potentially 4 or 5 second gap, or do you not? And that's the big luxury that Henry's got here, I think. You know, he can afford to cruise it. He knows he's going to have that gap. He can afford to lose 5 seconds on this last K now, which is a lot easier in terms of the physiology of running that. And he's got that big advantage over the rest of them that he's going to carry into the other races, as well as a time bonus for the last one.
We certainly saw, if you have the chance to just step off the pedal a little bit towards the end, how short that time is to recover. You've experienced it before. Basically, you're coming in and you literally, no time to warm down, go straight back and set your bike up again.
Absolutely. I think it is. When you're talking about fine margins like this at the top, you know, the difference between potentially running a 250k or a 245k is enormous, you know, absolutely massive. And I think he's doing that. That said, those guys behind him, I'm pretty sure they've run faster. You know, they weren't that close on that first lap, so they've taken some time out of him, but he looks pretty relaxed. I think he knows what he's doing, and like we said, he knows he can afford to lose a bit of seconds and carry a bit of energy into the later legs.
Johnny was very, very clever there. You saw him jump on the back of Christian Blumenfeld. He's basically said this train's going to the front. We're going to move away from Richard Murray, who's been so dominant in this style of racing, and this could set this up at stage 2. Remember, it's the cumulative time to go into stage 3 that gives the advantage, and when you alienate an athlete like Richard Murray, it pays dividends later.
Let's not forget that they have to run again straight off the top of the second stage, so having that little bit in the tank, as Henry Schoeman looks like he does at the moment. He's got a very efficient running style, as does Vince Louis, especially when you compare him to the little engine that can. Christian Blumenfeld, who isn't as efficient as he could be, but he doesn't need to be because he knows how to fight his way to the front. But Henry Schoeman, who I guess in some ways is a little bit the silent assassin, he doesn't say too much and he doesn't need to. He lets his racing do the job.
He's led from the first stroke of the swim. He's able to be very, very controlled, and like you said, Ali, he's he can switch off a little bit now, put things in reserve, and that could be the deciding thing come later in the day.
I think he is actually running pretty hard though. I'm not sure how much he's left in reserve, and he keeps looking behind him. I think if you were going to time trial this, you would do it. You'd do it without looking behind you, and you just get on and do it. I think we're seeing Christian Blumenfeld was trying to make a pass there.
He doesn't know how not to make a pass.
He doesn't, does he?
It's not going to make any difference.
No, it's going to make no. In fact, you're just basically costing yourself a bit of energy for no time whatsoever.
But that's the beauty of Christian Blumenfeld, no doubt whatsoever. He won 5 or 6 stages when he didn't need to, but he just wanted to.
Let's see if he takes Vincent Louis here.
So this time is down to less than 10 seconds now.
Is he going to?
Yeah, of course he is.
Of course he is.
He's going for the sprint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second, third and fourth, it doesn't matter. They all finish on the same time. Vincent Louis, Jonathan Brownling, Christian Blumenfeld, Richard Murray comes in a little bit behind. Hayden Wild, who has had a great race, and he has a little pump of the fist too, announces himself ahead of the world champion who's fighting with Alex Yee. And Alex, such a great runner, as we mentioned. What a moment for him to finish behind the 3-time and reigning world champion Mario Mola.
Look for him in the next race. If he's going to do anything, he'll open up this first run in the next race.
Yeah, I think so. He's got that big chance when he starts with this run here, and to get on that, get the little time advantage coming off it. And this race is blown apart already with Alex Yee down in 8th, 30 seconds down, and there's Jake Birtwistle finishing outside the top 10.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for someone like Jake Birtwistle to find his way back into this one. Of course, all this time is going to hurt them in stage 3. João Pereira, Igor Polyansky cross the line, Jonas Schomburg, Sylvain Friedeland's just behind Andreas Schilling there as well, and we're going to have to keep an eye on that 90-second mark.
Just seen, yeah, I mean, it's right in front of where we're just seeing a few guys have been taken out, including the local lad, Ollie Turner, and Taylor Reid from Canada been taken out as well. So, I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys just there who have been taken out because of the 90-second rule on this very first race.
Yeah, even before the race has finished, Mauro Cavagna, the Brazilian, 2-time national champion, as Jaden Schofield, one of the 2 identical twins, just making life hard for us out here in the commentary, crosses the line. Second and third they were in the Oceania Sprint Champs.
So now they've got the 10 minutes between 2 back-to-back runs. I mean, I think this is probably the most important rest they're going to get in this. The running is the toughest, physically hardest bit.
All right, we're going to throw down now to Annie Emerson, who has Henry Schoeman. We'll find out how easy he actually did do it, Annie.
Well, Henry, this is just the very start of the weekend, but you made that look pretty easy.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. I actually surprised myself in this swim. I think I might have fractured something in my elbow in the week leading up, so I was really scared about pulling in the water, and I think it was just the adrenaline that got me off there, and really happy to lead out the whole race.
Well, you made a couple of athletes have to work very hard. Christian Blumenfeld was back in about 20th position. Mario Mola way back as well. Did you expect that?
I wasn't really looking at positions. I was just focusing on my own race and doing the best I can, so everyone else is hurting out there, and I thought, well, hurt myself out in front.
Okay, good luck. Go and get yourself warmed up for the next one.
It looks like everyone who crossed the line that we saw, Jaden Schofield finished 1 minute and 29 seconds back, meaning he was 1 second ahead of the cut-off mark. He wouldn't have known that at the time, but he's gotten lucky there, just like Elena Danilova got unlucky at 1 minute 32 seconds back, but plenty of people won't take part. He was 19th, and anyone below 19th will not move forward into stage 2. Let's have a look at the highlights right now, and there is Henry Schoeman in the blue swim jersey, diggling obviously with what he thinks is a fracture in his elbow in terms of pulling in the water. Let's see if that adrenaline, now it starts to wear off a little bit, doesn't hurt him a little bit. Vince Louis was second out of the water, made a mistake, but the short chute belonged to Henry Schoeman, who had a little bit of a look around him 3 or 4 times, but managed to hold off the chasing pack, and plenty of talent in there too to take out stage 1. But that is just a third of the way through this triple mix, and plenty of things can change, as we saw in the women's race.
And after all that, he only ended up with an 8-second advantage on these guys. So, it's really not much. Going into that final round, that could be 1 lap on the bike.
And interestingly, our 3 jerseys are there.
We just got to jump in there because I think Annie has managed to track down Christian Blumenfeld, who couldn't help himself running into second position.
Christian, you gave yourself a little bit of work to do on the swim, didn't you? Or after the swim?
Yeah, no. I knew it's really hard, like having that opening 100-meter sprint. So I knew that I would be a little bit back, and I had to work myself up on the bike. So it was okay. Like I had to work really hard on the bike to catch the front group, and yeah, it felt good. So, but still, I think Henry had like 5-6 seconds on us now, so we'll have to work hard now.
It is a little bit about conserving energy, but you couldn't help but push yourself to the front towards the end of that stage, or that leg rather.
Well, yeah, you can't lose too much on the first stage. So yeah, hopefully I have a little bit left from the next one. This one will be really important to not lose any time, and obviously the last one will be more like a time trial, I guess.
How easy is it going to be to run down Henry? He looks in great form.
Yeah, I guess he also got like a few shortcuts, so without the shortcuts it will probably be easier too. So maybe it will be important to get first into the bike now to get like that advantage.
Good luck for the next stage.
Well, thank you very much.
It is a mass start for stage 2, pursuit start, of course, for stage 3, which will start with the bike and end with the run. But the mass start with the guys who are at the front from stage 1 starting in the front row. Let's have a quick refresher of the triple mix. Stage 1 has happened. Now we mix up the order, hence the name, triple mix, of course. Run, bike, swim, and then a pursuit start for stage 3 where the gaps will be paid with a bike, a swim, and we finish with the run. We saw Cassandra Beaugrand do so well with her run and hold off the likes of Ashley Gentle and our 2017 Jersey winner Katie Zafiris to take the full 25 championship points, and it is all in the hands right now of Henry Schoeman, who has a 7-second advantage. But right now another mass start with the run. There is Schoeman in the blue, the fastest swim split. Brownlee in the green with the fastest bike split, and Blumenfeld in the red with the fastest run split from 12 months ago here in Jersey, and we're about to get things underway again.
I was going to say, if no one else takes it on, Christian Blumenfeld will for sure.
He doesn't know how not to.
Yeah, so, and
here he goes.
And Birtwistle really has to. He was a fair way back in that first stage.
He was actually 50 seconds back as it stands, so he really needs to start putting some time into the rest of the field if he's going to have a chance to finish well and take some championship points. There's one of the Schofields up there at the front of the pack, and I think that's Igor Polyansky, number 11.
Yeah, that Igor Polyansky isn't renowned for his pacing race tactics either, so I wouldn't expect to see him at the front probably by the end. There's no one making a big move here. Alex E there on the outside, you know, looking comfortable and running, but there's no one who's absolutely really gone for it. And that's interesting, but I guess it's 2K at the end of the day, and I think maybe it will be quite cagey, and then we might see a sprint finish to get into transition, see if they can get that short shoot, which would be very exciting.
Yi just puts himself at the front, as we said. British national title holder for the 10,000 metres, extremely fast over 5,000. He does a 27.51, which I think is superior to your 10K by about 45 seconds, am I correct?
It is superior to my 10K, definitely, yeah.
Ouch.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks for rubbing it in. I couldn't drive 10K in that amount of time.
Yeah, so the other thing about this race is you wouldn't probably want to be too far back for two reasons. There's people around you and you can easily catch a foot and fall over, which is not what we want. And also the slowing down and the effects of going around these corners. The further you are the back, the more you have to slow down and the more you have to speed up. So yeah, I think you probably want to be in the top 4 or 5 really, if not, of course, leading. And yeah, Alex Yee is pushing this here. He's running pretty much as fast as he can, and of course, Christian Blumenfeld is doing everything he can to stay with it.
Yeah, I don't think he got the memo. This guy's a very, very fast runner. He's like, oh, okay, let's go for it.
Well, they're very different running styles. He looks quite comfortable in his stride, and he spends, of course, so much time on the track running. Jake Birtwistle in 3rd position. Johnny Brownlee in the green in 4th position. João Pereira down the outside there, just putting the big strides in as well. Hayden Wild is in amongst the leaders too, and he's had a fantastic run of it so far.
There's a couple of guys here we would expect to see but can't see at the front, in Mario Mola and Richard Murray, but they're both pretty tactical races, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's Richard Murray, they're just there on the outside, you know, just biding the time, sitting in the middle of the pack if they can and trying to make it as easy for themselves as they can. But the field's stretching out quite a bit on this run actually, and I think there's a lot of guys. I think Christian Blumenfeld's one of them. I think maybe Hayden Wiles, him on the outside. They're probably running really hard, and it'll be interesting to see what they've got when they jump on the bike.
When they make the left-hand turn here, they'll have the tail at the wind at their back. So it's when they turn at the far end, they've got a good 250 metres with the wind straight in their face.
Of course, if the wind's in your face, you want to be behind someone. It makes a big difference running. If you can tuck in a bit and shelter from those headwinds, and yeah, we just saw them come past Mario Mola's at the back of that pack. I think just biding his time and probably running a really good, solid run race rather than going out too hard at the start.
In terms of weight and body shape, I'd say that Alex Yee could hide easily behind the shape of Christian Blumenfeld if he needed to, no doubt. But there are your leaders, Jake Birdwhistle, Richard Murray, Henry Schoeman in 6th position, Vincent Louis in 8th position. Mario Moll has moved up into 11th, just a couple of seconds back. There's a little bit of a gap there to Polyansky. I can see Ben Canute, Luke Schofield there as well, Andreas Schilling, who is starting to get spat out the back a little bit, but Richard Murray looking comfortable there in 3rd position.
Out of that first group of 12, though, I really think there's a couple of guys that are probably having to go a bit hard to keep themselves into this. So I think it's going to be interesting, this first bit of the bike. If any of the guys just run a bit more sensible and can really take it on, I think you know, you can make up ground pretty quickly.
You're right about Igor Polyansky. He has dropped out a little bit, and that is Jonas Schomburg at the tail of the field, number 9, the 24-year-old from Germany.
Yes, again, you know, this race is splitting wide apart with the guys at the front that you kind of expect. I'm really looking forward to see what happens. They're probably within the last 800 now, maybe. Another 400 metres time. Are we going to see a full-on sprint being wound up, you know, coming off the bend in the last 200 metres of a track race? It's going to be fascinating to see.
Well, Christian's putting himself in the position to do that, and we know he's got the mindset to take it. He's just such a competitive guy. Richard Murray slid up quite comfortably, and I'm surprised that Mario Mola, he stayed back. He seemed to get caught behind Henry and around that roundabout. Got some clear
Christian's a fantastic athlete and got a fantastic engine. I don't think he's got a fantastic sprint though. I might be wrong, but I think sprinting against the likes of these guys around him, obviously Alex Yee, Richard Murray and Mario Mola, I would definitely back one of those.
Here's Murray making his move right now. The question is whether Yee can respond. Murray knows that he's got the short shoot advantage, and it can be such an advantage, and he has really pushed it.
He needs to spend more time looking forward and not behind him.
It looked like he said, come on, let's go, but he's really opened up.
Yeah, he has. That's an impressive turn of pace, to be fair. I think I'd like to see him commit to it now and just run as fast as he can to make sure he makes it. Christian Blumenfeld still hanging in there. And yeah, I think this injection of pace really has split it up, and you can see that the group behind is lined right out. And again, we're in this situation. Do you risk a lot of energy for a potential 1 second gain now to get round someone else? Richard Murray looks like he's got the shoot, although Christian Blumenfeld is coming. He's coming for it, but I don't think he's going to get it. I think the other thing going into transition here, you know, you've got a bit of an advantage if you're near the front, less people to crash into, people are pulling the bikes out. That does always slow you up a little bit. So I think in the perfect world, you'd probably want to be in the first 2 or 3 here.
All right, Richard Murray gets the short shoot despite the intentions of Christian Blumenfeld, and that will help on the bike. A decent transition as well from Murray, who comes back out ahead of Alex Yee, and Blumenfeld lost some time there and lost a bunch of places as well. So we'll see how that shakes out, of course. Some of these guys are carrying their goggles around their necks. Some of them have got them stuffed down the front of their shirt for the swim. Some of them might not have them on at all, such as the different tactics. But right now, Richard Murray, winner in Hamilton Island, 3rd overall in Jersey here last year, and he wasn't happy with that. He's got the game face on.
He did a good thing there.
Comes up the first inclination.
If you noticed on the short shoot, he didn't actually jump on his bike. He ran around pushing his bike.
He transitioned through it.
Yeah, really good transition. And he learned from looking at what the guys have done before, where Henry actually had to take such a wide bend. He lost a couple of seconds, looked straight round, and then gets round, then jumps on. And that's pretty good, smart racing. It's kind of what the Super League's format's all about, you know, being as tactically good as he can be.
Yeah, a lot quicker.
Yeah, the experience showing there as he takes the roundabout of peril quite well and quite quickly. Normally we see the first one around there just being a little bit tentative.
Very close to the back of the motorbike as well. He's using that to the full advantage, but it's part of the race. And it'll be interesting to see these guys, like I said, how much do they have to put on the bike now? Are they going to work together? Because if they let Richard Murray get away and his weakness is the swim, they're basically cancelling out his weakness, because he is going to get the short shoot again and he's going to be able to swim at his own pace over that swim and he'll be absolutely fine.
Murray was 14 seconds back after the opening stage, so he'll find himself in better position. He leads the train from Vincent Louis ahead of Jonathan Brownlee. Christian Blumenfeld there in about 6th position.
I would expect Christian Blumenfeld, Vincent Louis and Johnny to come to the front of this group to push it. They know that the only way of making that time back up to Richard Murray is if they're on the front and really pushing it here. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, and there's actually quite a big group of them there. It has actually all stayed together. There you go, Vincent Louis has come to the front and he's going to do all he can to close that gap now.
He's seen just how far Richard Murray is in front of him, had a little look over, and it is 8 seconds. Alex Yee, Jonathan Brownlee, Hayden Wild again amongst the lead pack, so he's really stamping his name on Super League Triathlon. But right now, Richard Murray, who's been so good over the course of the last 2 events, is pushing the pace. Alex Yee tucking in behind Vincent Louis. Jonathan Brownlee, Hayden Wild, Christian Blumenfeld, Mario Mola is finding himself in 7th from Henry Schumann. Jacob Birtwistle is part of that group too. He's far back though in terms of overall classification. Misla Chuck, Leo Bergeret, João Pereira, Matthew Sharp. They are your top 13.
And again, Richard Murray's in the same position as his countryman Henry Schumann was in the last leg. He can afford to ride this safely at his own pace, taking his own lines around the corner and quickly. Absolutely bonkers there at the back. Tyler Michalchuk sat on his hoods going around a dead turn. I mean, I don't know why he'd ever do that. Pretty slow at the back of a group as well. You just don't have the control. I'd say Christian Blumenfeld is going to come to the front in this next half lap, I would imagine, to push it on. And I think this gap is actually probably going to come down by the time we get to the end of this bike load.
It was 9 seconds last time through transition. We'll get an update on what it is going to be after that. But Blumenfeld, you're right, is tucked in behind Vincent Louis and ahead of Alex Yee. A group of, I think, around 9, all trying to work together to track down Richard Murray, who needs all the time he can get on the swim with some strong swimmers in the pack behind him. The wind seems to have dropped a little bit, which helps him out there. Can get buffeted around through Thunder Alley if the wind stays up, but it looks like the wind's dropped just a little bit. It can be very changeable around here. And he is 7 seconds now, so a couple of seconds taken out around that last lap.
You can see these guys, there is quite a big group, but I don't think the guys at the back are getting that much of an advantage, to be honest. You know, it's so corny, it's so technical, you don't really have that much of a chance to sit in. You can see by the faces that they're having to work pretty hard. And it's not making much advantage. There is Christian Blumenfeld getting to the front there. I think I'd be surprised people aren't moving up the group and trying to get in front of you, to be honest, because you can see him losing a bit of ground run. Yeah, they have their losing ground run every corner, and that just makes it harder for you. If you have to sprint harder out that corner because the gap in front of you goes, that's a bit of energy every time. Ben Canute here working really, you know, he has to do this on the bike. He knows the run isn't necessarily strongest, and he's really working as hard as he can to try and pull himself back into the race.
He's technically very, very good, Richard Murray, on a bike. He's handling those corners well. He's taking big advantage out of each one of those corners. He accelerates well, and it seems that it's on the flat sections here that he's getting that time taken out of him, but technically by far superior than the group behind.
Yeah, people are good around corners when it doesn't look too bad most of the time, and he almost just looks like he's kind of floating around them. You know, there's no drama there, straight round it, on the pedals really early as he can out the saddle, and definitely making the most of that motorbike in front of him pretty close. But Christian Blumenfeld is on the front there and pushing it absolutely as hard as he can.
He's drifted all the way back to the back of the pack.
Yeah, I'd expect that to happen. That run was hard, and he's not necessarily the strongest cyclist, and definitely not technically the best. So this is hard, but he's there. You know, he's there and he's racing there, and good on him. I think this will bring him on a lot, and he's doing all he can, which is great to see. This gap actually isn't coming down. We see, you know, it's stayed pretty much the same for this whole thing. So I was wrong about him getting caught. He's going to get the advantage of the short shoot again, going into the swim, and he's going to hold on to that. He's going to hold on to that. Going into the final leg, which is good because the swim is his weak point. Yeah,
as the pack reorganised itself, it was 7 seconds. It's actually blown out to 10 seconds across about 10 people who've been trying to organise themselves with Blumenfeld at the front to try and catch Richard Murray, but he's managed to respond in kind. And yeah, as you say, just the way the course is set up, there's a lot of narrow sections. Sometimes being in a pack can be a disadvantage, and maybe not spreading around the work as much as it would classically do in a different kind of race.
Yeah, well, I think possibly maybe not a disadvantage. I just think that you can't actually get the advantage of working together, and you've basically got to have one guy on the front committing to ride as hard as he can. And I think in this kind of racing, that's all you can do. You've got to get on the front of the race and commit, because otherwise, you sit up for one lap here, and suddenly that gap becomes 20 or 30 seconds. He gets the short shoot, he's away, and that's it. The whole race is over. So I think you've got to commit, and I don't think you can look around too much for other people to help you.
We saw in the women's race, especially in this second swim, that the field got blown right apart. We saw Henry Schumann so strong in stage 1, sliding up slowly in this bike group. He was at 12 seconds back, I think, or 12 seconds in front of Richard Murray over that first swim, and he's at 13 seconds behind at the end of his lap 1. So
yeah, Henry Schumann is sat pretty in that group at the moment, and we can expect that his swim is going to be pretty fast. This is an interesting part of this race now, because if you run hard into the swim and you're breathing a bit hard, you can't choose when you breathe in the swim. You've got to turn your head to the side out the water to breathe. So if you get this wrong and you're tired going into the water, it's really easy to mess up, and you really balloon and lose loads of time. So I'd expect to see some of the cleverer guys just ease off a bit.
We've had our first crash of the weekend, and it looks to me like it is Hayden Wild, who was working so hard to stay with an incredibly experienced and incredibly aggressive pack of chasers, and that is terrible to see for the young New Zealander. He's had such a good race so far.
That's a real shame. I was about to say that earlier. He's racing out of his skin today. He looked to be sliding up through that group, and he's overcooked that corner.
He moved up 2 or 3 places in that last lap, though, which probably means he was taking risks, which is why he's fallen off. So
usually he's well known for having excellent bike handling skills, obviously being involved in Xterra racing, and that is disappointing for Hayden Wild and for New Zealand. 21-year-old going down, but at the front and on the short shoot right now is Richard Murray, who has a look up and executes a dive. He's all by himself there in the reasonably frosty waters of Jersey and the harbour here at St Helier. And Christian Blumenfeld, you can see how much wider they have to go out to the pontoon slot 15, so it probably adds 3 to 4 seconds in terms of the time it takes to go further along the pontoon and then a little further in the water as well. And there is the gap that Richard Murray has, but among that group is a great swimmer in Henry Schumann, who's been sitting in the middle of that pack, and he's not the biggest guy. He's only about 56 kilos, and he's been sheltering in that pack along the bike, and let's see if we can track him down.
These guys behind him now, we're fighting hard to be on his feet. They know that his feet are a ticket to the front of this race, and potentially if they don't get on his feet, they'll be 10 seconds behind. And you can see that Schumann on his own at the front, and there's probably three guys lining up behind him to try and get there, and they're slowing each other down and making it difficult. So that's definitely Schumann in the blue there. I'm not sure.
Is Johnny third, is it?
No, Johnny is definitely in third. I'm not sure who I think that's Vincent in second.
It is.
Yeah, who you'd expect. They're definitely the best swimmers here. And Vincent, as well, to be fair, haven't really mentioned his swim prowess, but a really top-notch swimmer. Definitely within the top 3 or 4 in the whole of World Series racing at the moment in a swim, and he's solid across all 3, of course.
And they're putting Blumenfeld under pressure here. He seems to be hanging on for dear life as they all get involved in the chase after Richard Murray.
Yeah, well, this isn't good. Blumenfeld, traditionally not a great swimmer, and his swimming isn't great, and especially after having to run. So if you haven't got a great swim stroke, and you rely on smashing your arms around basically to swim, which is nothing wrong with that, but if that's what you rely on and you jump in the water and you haven't got that engine ability because you're tired from running, you're not going to swim anywhere very fast. So I'd kind of expect some of these guys to struggle a bit with that.
Yeah, the experience of swimming off a run or off the bike is something that we don't see so much, of course, in triathlon, the way it is set up. And everyone that's hopped out of the water after doing that in the women's race has just spoken about how hard it is. And Christian Blumenfeld has dug deep into the tank. And up the front, Richard Murray is about to be caught. Henry Schumann is closest to us, and Vincent Louis is coming on the outside, both of Richard Murray. So this is happening almost exactly like Sophie Caldwell got caught. No, sorry, Ashley Gentle got caught in the women's race at about the same place in the same leg of the race. Just there, she couldn't hold on, and exactly the same thing's happening here. Henry Schumann is now going to slot in behind Vincent Louis as they race for the front of this one. But it looks like, as it stands, if Schumann can stay with Louis, he's still going to take an advantage and lead out the pursuit start, having won stage 1 of the triple mix once we get to stage 3, which will be in 10 minutes' time after this swim is finished.
So Louis is actually out swimming Schumann here, which we wouldn't expect, which is fantastic to see. We're seeing Richard Murray going back through the group, and Johnny's going to be in fourth place just behind him. We did actually see an absolutely clear gap back to Christian Blumenfeld just around that last buoy, so I think he's probably going to lose 5 or 10 seconds here. Johnny's having to make the move round Richard Murray there. It's hard to swim past people because they end up kind of on your hips, slowing you down, so to actually swim round someone in a space of time, you've got to be swimming a lot faster than them. And if we look straight back there, you know, that group of 10 guys, or however many there were, have absolutely blown apart on this swim. You know, there's going to be a gap spread over 20 or 30 seconds when they come out, I think.
Yeah, don't forget, we add the gaps from stage 1 into the gaps from stage 2, and if 90 seconds is too... If you're more than 90 seconds out, you will not be starting in stage 3 of this race and have a chance to run to victory. There is Johnny Brownlee out of the water, has a slip as so many people have done, and Richard Murray comes out just behind him. So he's seen his lead evaporate. Christian Blumenfeld has managed to find his way through. Mario Mola.
Mola's had a good swim there for him. He's done really, really well. Michelin shook there, and like I kind of expected here, Alex, he struggled in that swim a little bit at the back end of the race. Vincent Louis he's had a solid, really solid race here, and he knows what he's doing. Although Henry wants a bit of time on him.
Yeah, and he said that in the interview with Annie. If he could get a start in stage 3 with Henry, that'd be a perfect position for him.
Henry Schoeman, he won stage 1 of the triple mix, and he's going to win stage 2 as well if it stays as it is, although Vincent Louis is coming at him, but I don't think he's going to get him. He hasn't even bothered to take the swim cap off. It's a sprint finish. Will he get him? Yes, he will. Vincent Louis responds. It won't matter in the end, but a stage win for Vincent Louis, who's had a very, very eventful race thus far. Richard Murray has managed to overtake Jonathan Brownlee to take third position in this race. Brownlee comes back a second back. We'll have to do the math. Blumenfeld gets himself over the line courtesy of the engine ahead of the world champ Mario Mola and Tyler Mislachuk, who has just been hiding at the back of this race.
Hayden Wild's got back up on his bike and come through.
He has indeed.
And he's caught Alex Yee in that swim.
That is a courageous effort from Hayden Wild. That was not a small accident, and he would have lost a ton of time. Leo Bergeret across the line ahead of Matthew Sharp, Ben Canute, who's been toiling away ahead of Igor Polyansky. But yeah, plenty of time across this field, and we'll have to have a look and get the calculator out and find out who will start and who won't. Sylvain Friedelance, the Swiss national champion this year, as we said, his partner Cassandra won the women's stage 1, 2 and 3. Fantastic effort. Gia Pereira, I don't know if that's a grimace or a grin.
Maybe it was Burtwhistle that crashed. I saw the flag, and I haven't seen him cross the line. I just saw, or is this him here? No, it wasn't. It was definitely Wild, because I was thinking, wow, Jake's a long way back for this format, his favourite
And Jake won't start because he was 50 seconds back on stage 1. He's over a minute back on stage 2. So we won't see Jake Burtwhistle in stage 3, which is a huge piece of news. Did not expect that. Jonas Schomburg as well. I think once we add his times together, might have a bit of trouble starting in stage 3 as well. Vincent Louis won though in a sprint finish, and he's had plenty of action today, and Annie Emerson is with him right now.
Vincent, that was a great stage. No mistakes that time round.
Yeah, that was a great one. Rich was really aggressive from the beginning. He had the shortcut for the beginning of the bike and go flat out during the wall bike. So we know with Henry we have to swim together to catch him, and that's good. Now we have to be really smart on the last stage and play our cards.
Vincent, you're swimming out of your skin at the moment, it has to be said.
Yeah. This wall here was really good for me on the water, and that's still on. So I'm really glad to have some good swim. I was a bit scared on the bike because Jake Burtwhistle crashed just ahead of me, so I had a bit of adrenaline, and that was maybe still a bit there for the swim, so that was good.
Go and get refueled for the next round.
It seems we've just been corrected.
I
Corrected by Vincent Louis. It was Jake Burtwhistle on the crash. Looked like Hayden Wild. In fact, was Jake Burtwhistle, so well done to him for getting up and finishing where he did. But I don't think he's going to play any more part in this one. Let's have a look back at the highlights. And Alex Yee led out until at the back end of the course, Richard Murray put the gas on, and he was smart through the short chute.
Yeah, very smart through the short chute, and that set up his race. Like I said, he came third there, but I think that really was set up in the early part, because he would have struggled on the back end of that swim, and he knew that. He raced accordingly, and that's what this format of triathlon's all about.
He had a fair old lead heading into the water, Richard Murray, but it was Vincent Louis who took the inside line and managed to come out just ahead of Henry Schoeman. But right at the back end, Vincent Louis found a way to take the stage win, which won't mean anything other than he won't finish any further or start any further behind Henry Schoeman coming into stage 3. But
interesting,
a fantastic stage.
When you actually... So we think, so Henry Schoeman's obviously going off first. By my calculations, I think Vincent Louis will be about 10 seconds behind him. I then think there'll be Richard Murray and Johnny going off maybe about another 10 seconds back. It'll be something like that. And outside that, I think the other guys will be a bit further back still. So it's going to be interesting, you know. Henry, I think all he can do is go for it. It might be potentially worth waiting for Vincent and saying, you know, can we work together to push this on? And then obviously everyone's going to be catching them as hard as they can. With the swimming being the second element here, again, because it's split up, because you're going into the swim tired and already you know, in a bit of depth, I expect the weak swimmers to lose a lot of time, and then it's going to come down to the run. So I think this is actually going to be a really fascinating next 10 minutes here. The two guys at the front in Vincent Louis and Henry are the two best swimmers. So I expect them to come out well.
Henry Schoeman the first off, and he'll be looking to do as much as he can ahead of Vincent Louis, who's paid that little gap. It wasn't as big as we thought it would be, so
you'd think he'd
probably only
commit
4 or 5 seconds in the end. Jonathan Brownlee a further 10 seconds back.
You'd think he'd commit. You wouldn't want Vincent Louis with you with the swim run finish, right?
Yeah, very true actually. Yeah, you wouldn't want to race Vincent Louis over the last 2K, I don't think. So I think he will be committing. And it'll be interesting to see what goes on behind. You know, there's a pretty strong trio there in terms of Johnny, Christian Blumenfeld and Richard Murray. And yeah, I mean, these are the 5 now, aren't they? The rest of the field is quite a long way behind. So Henry's looking behind him already on that ride out. So I think he's probably just assessing his options, and Vincent is riding absolutely as hard as he can there to try and get up to him.
He's going to get on.
Yeah,
the cream really rising to the top. We've got all our split leaders from Jersey 2017 there, along with our overall winner from Hamilton Island and third in Jersey as well in Richard Murray. And Johnny Brownlee there just tucking in behind. Christian Blumenfeld will no doubt dig deep into the well and find a way onto their back wheel if he can. But at the moment it's Schoeman and Vincent Louis. So already that gap that Schoeman worked so hard to draw out over the opening 2 stages has evaporated into nothing. And Vincent Louis will be tucking behind there and just waiting for a chance to strike.
You're seeing Richard Murray actually using his technical ability there and getting away and gapping Johnny a bit. So, you know, this is a format of racing that the technical ability really has, if you can use it, you can get yourself some big advantages. He's having to ride really hard to try and get himself back in the race, as is Christian Blumenfeld, you know, wrestling his bike up the course here and doing it very quickly. I'd expect these two to probably work quite well together here. You know, I think Vincent will want to take his turns. He'll want this to be a fast, hard race and make it hard for everyone else. They're moving well. I mean, Henry's moving well at the front, and I don't know if Richard Murray's potentially shot himself a little bit in the foot by going hard, so he can't work with these other guys. But like we said, at some point in this style of racing, you've just got to commit, haven't you? And he's obviously decided to go out and commit. Richard Murray there, sorry, Christian Blumenfeld coming through, really flying up the course, doing all he can. He has to here. He's gonna struggle on this swim to an extent.
He just looks like he's going to blow up at any second, and he never does. But at the front of the pack, Vincent Louis and Henry Schoeman, who now have traded places. It's 9 seconds back as they went through transition to Richard Murray, and then a further couple of seconds back to Brownlee and Blumenfeld. But it's changing pretty quickly between those two as it stands. So it is a bike, swim, run, which is, I think, just after all the work they've done, so tough in terms of moving between the disciplines and making sure you don't make a mistake in transition, especially when you've got the calibre of these guys
Vincent
at
Louis
the front of the pack.
Vincent Louis putting Schoeman under a bit of pressure here. You know, there's a bit of a gap there opening up. He's cornering better than him, and he's using the power he's got to accelerate out the corners as hard as he can. You can see when guys got on the edge. You know, Johnny's on the edge there. When you push hard and you don't quite have the focus to go into the corners, and that's why they're losing time. Vincent, I think, is trying to make a bit of a move here, and
he sensed a bit of a weakness, because you're right. He came out of that roundabout, really accelerated. He looked back and glanced at Henry. The gap's open, and you look, he's out of the saddle. He commits again, runs wide, tries to get him off the draft. He'll make the left-hander, and he's really going for it.
Christian Blumenfeld's bike sounding great there. Sounds like a freight train braking. But you can see, I mean, Vincent is cornering hard there. You know, he's maybe taking a little bit of risk on, knowing that actually if I can get away here, that's what I need to do. But calculated risk as well. And he's cornering well and fast, and that's how he's put Henry under pressure. This is the actual only bit of riding you can do on the course here. There's probably 30 seconds straight and slight uphill, so I'd expect Vincent to go really hard up here. If he makes that top corner, that sharp left-hander with a gap still on Henry, he's away. He's seconds. He's away. Yeah. So I think Henry shouldn't be probably getting down on his tri-bars though. He should just be putting all the power through the pedals he can and getting up. Christian Blumenfeld's attacked Richard Murray there, and so I think Vincent Louis has got that gap now, and he's the faster rider on the course, and there's clear air behind him.
And now Schumann could be under difficulty with the 3 behind. He's on his own. He's lost that front wheel. That's very, very tough to do to ride someone off your wheel.
Yeah, it is very tough. But that's one of the great things about this course. It actually makes the bike come into play. Christian Blumenfeld's dropped Johnny and Richard Murray though. He's actually got clear gap as well. So this race is brilliant. It's splitting up all over, the gaps all over, and it's proper racing where literally every second of racing counts.
If Vincent Louis can produce a swim like he did at the end of stage 2, he will be our triple mix champion. There's a great battle going on further back in the field between Mario Mola, the 3-time world champ, and Hayden Wild, who's stuck with him the whole time, the 21-year-old from New Zealand, and behind them Alex Yee is having a battle with Tyler Mislachuk, and there is Henry Schumann. You can see the gap disappear into the unbelievable sounds of the braking of Christian Blumenfeld, who's dropped Johnny Brownlee and Richard Murray, who just might be a little bit gassed from the effort he put in at the start, and that is It's very good cornering. There was no room for error there.
He's using the whole road. If you compare it to what Henry's doing behind him, he used every inch of road he had there, which is absolutely the right way to get around a corner. Christian's ridden straight up. He's riding the fastest on the course now, without quite the finesse of Vincent, but it's working. He's taken time out of him on that lap.
He'll go straight round him here. This is where he's
going for him.
Not only did he have the fastest swim of anyone in the last stage, he'll get the short shoot. Vincent Louis, if he keeps doing what he's doing, and it'll be very hard to track down, even with the efforts of Schumann, who has now fallen behind Christian Blumenfeld, who's going to leave nothing out there no matter what happens at any point on this one. He really needs to oil up those brakes, though, a little bit. There is Richard Murray, and behind him, Jonathan Brownlee, who's been there or thereabouts all the way through this one, but he does look very, very smooth and controlled through the corners, especially when you consider how narrow it does get at times, and onto the different surfaces on the cobblestones as well.
The field behind these 5 has absolutely exploded, hasn't it? We haven't even seen them for the whole race. So I think that shows how aggressive and how fast these guys are going as well. Look, next person down, 41 seconds down.
Now Christian's bombing over the top of Henry. Henry's found himself in trouble in second position, and Christian's got his eyes focused on one person, and that's this man right here, Vincent Louis.
Not going to have time though, I don't think.
He's got a gap on Henry as well. He's come straight through this field. That's a great bit of riding to do here, to come from, what did he get on the bike in 5th place, I think, so and come through them all. So
short shoot.
Yeah, great racing. I'd expect Vincent to be really clinical through the transition here as well. He's not going to take too many risks. Christian's taken more time out of him on that last few hundred metres. So Vincent knows he can control this now. He knows he's the best swimmer here, maybe apart from Henry, and he's just got to not do anything too hard. Obviously, take the short.
Christian Blumenfeld's forgotten to take his helmet off, and he's been forced to go back, and that means he's going to start behind Henry Schumann in the water, and that really hurts him. He forgot his Vaseline before this race, had to run up, and now he's forgotten to take his helmet off. Such is the pain that he's in at the moment, and the pain he puts his body through. But you can see the gap there on that lovely aerial shot from Vincent Louis back now to Henry Schumann, who's going to have to produce the swim of his life, and we know he's capable of it. But we know that Vincent Louis is one of the great swimmers in this field as well, and he could be making it a French 1-2 in both the women's and the men's triple mix. Cassandra Beaugrand, so dominant, winning all 3 stages in the women's earlier this afternoon, and Vincent Louis, as another part of the French contingent, could be making it a 1-2 for the tricolours. We're going to see how this pans out. He gets the short shoot. That means he goes in before pontoon 1. Schumann will be sent all the way down to 15th slot on the pontoon, and we'll need to see all of his skill in action. Blumenfeld goes in behind him, and he'll be hoping to get on the heels of Schoeman and see if Schoeman can do what we know that he can.
If Richard Murray's got any sense there, he should just sit straight on Johnny's feet here and hope that he has an easy swim and get pulled up. It would have been silly, which he didn't do, to try and get round him on the run in there. You know, save the energy and just sit on those feet and do the best you can. Hayden Wild still doing well with Mario Mola. Those two have been locked in a battle of their own here for 6th and 7th place, and Alex Yee there back in 8th. So, you know, these guys are still racing as hard as they can. It's just, you know, the guys at the front are really flying away with it.
Yeah, fantastic racing from Hayden Wild. We keep saying that, but Mario Mola is one of the most accomplished members of the triathlon fraternity as it stands at the moment. There's your gaps. We can see from the top boy.
Schoeman's chasing.
And we'll just have a look right now at Blumenfeld as well, who only had eyes for Vincent Louis until he remembered what was happening. He reached for his goggles and realised he had the strap around his chin, and Henry Schoeman pounced on that mistake, as you'd expect him to do. And mentally, that, I suppose, can be a little bit tough when you make a bit of an error like that. Takes you out of the zone.
Yeah, I think he'll take it in his stride. You know, I think that is another big thing about this style of racing, is that something is going to go wrong. There's so much going on all the time. You've got to deal with those little things that go wrong along the way, and that's part of the sport, and that's fantastic. We've seen Johnny's actually just swam straight up to Christian Blumenfeld here, and is just starting to get a bit of gap behind him to Richard Murray. So he's going to try and make the pass. I think it's going to be quite difficult for him to get round. It is hard to get straight round someone in a swim. You've got to be going quite a lot faster. And these two guys at the front are away. I think Henry is actually
closing in.
He's closing in, but I think Vincent will know what he's doing. You know, if you compare the two strokes, Vincent isn't kicking at all. You know, like maybe even a 1-beat leg kick, but Henry's got a full-on 6-beat leg kick there. And I think Vincent's just controlling a bit. It means he'll get out of the water. He'll be that little bit fresher for the run into transition and then the finishing 2K run. And he knows that, and I think he's pretty confident that he's going to beat Henry over a 2K run anyway. So I'll be surprised if he was swimming at absolute maximum here. He's in kind of more like a time trial format mode now.
Katie Savaris did this to Cassandra Borgrad in the last race. She swam straight up onto her feet. She got the short chute going into the run, and it wasn't enough to beat her. So you're absolutely right. He looks very, very relaxed in the water.
Yeah, I think he's a very good swimmer, and you know, he's obviously swimming hard, but he's just holding that little bit back. Whereas Henry has, you know, only nothing to gain. He's just got to go for it. I think Johnny has got round Christian Blumenfeld there. Just saw them coming around that boy, and he also has to swim as hard as he can. You know, I don't think he wants to run against Richard Murray, and probably not Christian Blumenfeld over 2K. If he wants a position on the podium in this race, and it's going to be almost impossible to win and very difficult to come on the podium without a third place finish here for him, he has to do it in this swim here. So he'll be going really hard, taking that risk of you know, gassing it a bit and not having the energy he needs, but knowing that that's probably his best option to get a result. Henry is pretty much on Vincent's feet. Yep, straight on Vincent's feet now.
Podium positions and, of course, championship points on the line. 25 for the winner and 21 for second place. 18, 16, 14, 12, and down it goes. And you gather the most points over the weekend's racing with the Enduro to come tomorrow, and there's $20,000 on the line, and, of course, a lead going into our next round in Malta in a month's time, which is all important. And there is Johnny Brownlee, who, as I said, managed to get around Christian Blumenfeld, who's chopping the water away behind him.
Richard Murray's lost quite a bit of time here, actually. So that could be nearly 10 seconds. So yeah, and Christian Blumenfeld stumbles a bit, and we've seen quite a lot of guys do that and lose a fair bit. You know, you lose your stride, lose 2 or 3 seconds, and definitely lose out a bit. So we've seen. Hopefully they'll get the hang of it a bit more tomorrow and not see that. Henry Schumann Vincent's missed his transition
shoes here.
Yeah,
got the short shoe.
Yeah.
That's what this type of short course racing does. I mean, in Olympic distance racing, you can
he's got
maybe have a little bit of a problem and be okay. But,
of course, and he's got the short shoot, so
really
he's got this easy now. You know, you could probably even afford to let Henry catch him if he wants and push on in the last 400 metres. But I think he's going to run for it, and it's going to be interesting to see the battle for third. I think this is our 1 and 2. I'd be surprised if it isn't.
They've certainly been the class athletes. They've been the class athletes across the course of the 3 stages, and whether we know he's got the engine, but how much engine does he actually have? Christian Blumenfeld, who has gone back to the well many times across the course of the last hour or so, and can he chase down someone of the calibre of Jonathan Brownlee? That is the big question. But Vincent Louis looking comfortable at the front, and
so I think Richard Murray probably went in the water there about 10 seconds behind. Vincent has come out 38 down, but lost the best part of 30 seconds in a 300-meter swim. That shows what I was talking about before. The guys who aren't necessarily the strongest swimmers, who are going in the water tired, you can lose loads of time, and that's the great thing about Super League style racing. It really shows up people's strengths and weaknesses across the three sports.
We saw Vincent Louis have a quick look at one of the big screens dotted around this tight course here in Jersey to just see how far behind Henry Schoeman is. He's probably about, maybe started 3 seconds out of transition. He's probably a little bit more than that now, and he's looking very comfortable, the Frenchman, as he gets into his work on the run on the first of these two laps.
And the big battle for third, it's going to be interesting to see Johnny with Christian Blumenfeld. I think Richard Murray's out. He's running for 5th position, but these two here, we know the Christian's going to go for it. He's not going to ease up, and I'm not sure how tired Johnny is.
Yeah, he doesn't look great though. He's kind of stumbling around that corner. I don't think he's looked that good all day. He doesn't look fluid in his running style, but he really didn't look good around that bottom roundabout. And Christian Blumenfeld's going to push it as hard as he can. But I think it's going to be close. It's over 2K, and it might come down to a sprint over the last 200 or 300 metres.
Vincent Louis running to gold in the Gold Coast just a couple of weeks ago, held off Mario Mola. He doesn't need to do that this time, but he knows how to come home with a run, and he ran his way to second in the world in the Olympic distance series. And he looks comfortable, and he looks like he's putting a few more seconds as we move around the back end of the course and into Thunder Alley. Plenty of support from the people of Jersey, and they're watching a fantastic race. The triple mix delivering as we knew it would. Coming into the left-hand turn, into transition very soon, and Henry Schoeman digging deep to try to stay in touch. He's got second place sewn up, you would think.
We're also seeing now everyone after 8th place being eliminated. So,
wow, that is right. Alex Yee is effectively 90 seconds back.
Yeah.
And Tyler Mislachuk, so that is the pain of this format.
At the moment, only 7 people, and maybe even, Hayden Wild has only got so, there could only be 6 or 7 people to finish this race here.
Well, you called it before they went in. That swim after the bike at the last stage of today's racing has just opened this field right up.
And with a really aggressive, obviously, guys racing at the front. They've been the situation of the race has forced these guys at the front to go as hard as they can to maintain the gap. Christian Blumenfeld has gone straight past Johnny there, and I think that's over for 3rd place.
He just looks in such pain, Christian Blumenfeld, at all times, doesn't he? But he manages to get the job done. The gap still remains at 3 seconds. It just was a trick, I guess, of the perspective that it looked a little further at that point. Blumenfeld doing everything he can at 29 seconds back, and he's 3 seconds ahead. So 2 pairs with a 3-second gap between them. Richard Murray is now 50 seconds behind. So he has dug too deep and put himself in the red zone, and he won't be coming back.
I think he'll know what he's doing. He's a canny racer, and he knows he's going to hold on to 5th place. I think he'll go, okay, I might have lost today, but I'll live to fight another day and save a bit of energy for tomorrow and hold on to my 5th place. There's no point finishing 5th, 22nd, or only 3 seconds behind the 4th place here. He might as well cruise around it a bit. And I'd expect to see Vincent controlling it a bit now. He just had another look at that screen there, and he'll have a chance to look back on the roundabout like he did. And I expect he's controlling this now. He knows he's won it. He knows he's got the better of Henry here, and he'll know that he can save his pennies for tomorrow. I'm
not sure what's happened to Mario Mola, but he was ahead of Hayden Wild on the last split, and he's disappeared off our timing screens. It's Hayden Wild moving then into 6th position, so he's a minute and 19 back. So Murray does have, as the timing screen updates, they're actually neck and neck at 1:19 apiece. So.
He's just run past the commentary booth there, so he's in. We've just seen a few more guys eliminated there, so
7 men in this race at this point. Alex Yee eliminated in the last lap of the run, so he doesn't quite make it to the end. He will finish 8th overall, no matter what happens ahead of him. And at this point, no one is going to stop Vincent Louis, who, when he really wants to, when he desires to put together a race, he really can do exactly that. And he's enjoyed his week here in Jersey, and certainly it's showing on the course. There's only a few turns left to go, and he just looks so smooth through those corners as the sun begins to set here on the island of Jersey.
He's switched off now, Vincent Louis. He's very, very controlled.
And Henry, I think, to be fair, I think they know they're holding their positions, and there's no point pushing anymore. The work is done.
The work is done, and what a significant amount of work it has been when you consider that tomorrow we're making them do 3 triathlons back to back to back. Swim bike one, swim bike run, but it won't matter right now. Vincent Louis takes another look and he's asking for some appreciation from this incredible Jersey crowd who've loved every minute of this. We've seen an absolute domination from the French here. Cassandra Beaugrand has done it in the women's, winning stage 1, 2 and 3, and Vincent Louis with a great tactical performance, and he's playing up to the crowd. Why not? He's put all the time in the world into Henry Schoeman, who'll be content with second position. Plenty of high fives from Vincent Louis, but he's promised so much for so long. He's delivered on many different stages across this year, and he does it right here in Jersey as the winner of the triple mix. Vincent Louis, a big smile from the Frenchman, a great tactical race, and he had it in the tank when it mattered. Henry Schoeman led for large periods of the triple mix as well, and he comes in a very well-earned second position. He'll pick up 21 championship points. Great respect between those two athletes, and Christian Blumenfeld, who just finds a way to get things done, manages to smile as well on his way to third position. I love the way Christian Blumenfeld races. Absolute heart on the sleeve stuff.
He even hits the hands hard.
He does, doesn't he? Puts 100% effort into every possible thing.
Yeah,
a great effort, lots of appreciation from the crowd as well for Johnny Brownlee.
Yeah, and I think you've seen them back off quite a bit. Hayden Wilde and
there's a sprint finish coming.
A sprint finish.
They just sprinted past the commentary box.
Yeah.
You can see them back of screen. A 3-time world champion and a 21-year-old, relatively, if you like, new to the sport in terms of experience. When you look at the two of them, Richard Murray will finish in 5th position and live to fight another day. And a sprint finish coming up between Hayden Wilde and Mario Mola. And here they go, the two of them, and it looks like Mola might have a little bit left in the tank, but
look at this.
Wilde's coming hard at him, and who's it going to be? I think maybe Mola. Do you think? I can't tell. We'll have to wait and
finished
see.
with a smile on his face. He looked like he was enjoying that.
We'll have to wait and see, but it looks like on the timing sheets it's a dead heat, 1:15 and 1:15, if you don't mind. Wilde has been put in 6th, but
you know when you're beating someone, you see him cross the line there, he's clapping himself. Mario Mola would be a scalp to get, and you saw as he crossed there, he clapped.
Regardless of what happens there, they both finished in a 20:31. What a huge confidence boost, if you don't mind, for Hayden Wilde from New Zealand, who finishes at the moment in a dead heat.
They're the last finishers,
with the world champion, and they are the last finishers out there. We've lost 19 competitors on the way through the triple mix, and we're going to throw down right now to our leader and winner of the triple mix. Vincent Louis is with Annie Emerson.
Vincent, you finally smiled coming down that finishing straight, but you've been pretty serious up until now. It takes a steely competitor to get round this course.
Yeah, that was a bit of tactic, you know, with Henry. I didn't know if he's gonna wait for me on the beginning of the bike or not, but he did. That was good. We make one lap together, and I take my pull on the bike, and he wasn't able to follow. I'm sure he's a bit tired, but tomorrow he will be good. And then at the end, I just have to be moderate on my swim and run as fast as I can. So yeah, that was perfect day for me.
I have to say, watching the last two stages, it was as if this course was designed for you. This style of racing is designed for you.
Yeah, you know, I grown with triathlon, with like multiple, sport like this, and doing multiple swim, run, bike and everything, and I grown with the French Grand Prix, so that's another school for learning all that tips like transition, everything. And I was really anxious about the short shot because it gives like really a big advantage to the opponents, but I took it twice, so that was good for me on the last leg. And yeah, that was like the kind of racing I like, I think.
What do you think about only 7 guys finishing today? The rest have been eliminated.
Yeah, that was a fast and furious race. You know, I'm not really surprised about that. It's been a long season. It's been at the end of the season, so many bodies are tired, and I'm just a bit maybe fresher than the others that just hit, and that's just, really fast, really furious, all what I like. So.
And a double victory for France today because, of course, Cassandra won the women's race.
Yeah, she was anxious too before the race, but I told her you're gonna do well. That's sure. She's really fast. She's a talent. You know, we maybe have the next Olympic champion in France, and I'm not speaking about me.
I'd back you after today. Congratulations.
It certainly is a golden age for France in terms of triathlon as we head towards Tokyo 2020. Of course, the mixed team relay getting involved in that and across similar distances. And they are the world champs in the mixed team relay too, France. And they're showing their quality over short distance racing today. And 2 new stars are born in the furnace of Super League Triathlon, if you like. The triple mix won by France, both by Cassandra Beaugrand, and this time with a big smile across the line by Vincent Louis. And it was a dominant performance and a composed one as well, as he used, as you say, so much of the track, if you like, and also, just never looked, though, in danger of coming unstuck.